Okay, so I sent out to you a draft agenda. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
It is so moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections that anyone would like to make at this time? Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask you to vote if you are a member, and I know there are a number of non-members here with us this morning. That's okay. But for the members, would you please open your reactions and on the bottom of the page on the right-hand side, and click on yes, that's a green check mark, or on the red X if you hate the agenda. Okay. Looks like we have a solid majority in favor, so the agenda is approved. And now I'm going to proceed to the introduction of our many distinguished elected officials and candidates. And if I miss anybody, call me to task and say, hey, you forgot me. But I'm going to go through and introduce and ask people to introduce themselves in the following order. We'll start with Maria Teresa Garcia. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Hi, my name is Maria Teresa Garcia, and I'm running for County Court at Law number 2. Good morning.
Great. Milton Fagan.
Good morning. Somehow I'm missing a call from the Honorable Joyce Durk. I don't know why she's calling me, but anyway, I'm running for the 224th District Court. I'm going to bring 48 years of long experience, a very long career to this bench. I think it's going to become very clear in the coming weeks why I should win the primary and why I should go on to beat the Republican Kathy Stryker in the general election. It's great to be with everyone this morning.
Thank you so much.
Robert, I'm sorry, this is Teresa Garcia. I
Yes.
didn't know I could say just a little tidbit. Can I just say a little tidbit real fast?
Sure. We'll give you up to 30
guys.
seconds.
Yeah,
Time's
sorry,
up.
guys.
Okay, hold it. Go on.
All right. So again, Maria Teresa Garcia, running for County Court at Law number 2. I've been practicing law for 28 years. Prior to this, I was a municipal court judge and a magistrate judge. I represent the poor people of San Antonio in criminal defense and in the child abuse and neglect. And I believe I'm the right person for County Court Law number 2. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Judge Stephanie Boyd.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm your current judge of the 187th District Court. You can look at all of my experience. I have over 24 years experience as a criminal defense attorney, also as a prosecutor, tried all high-level felonies. I do have a primary opponent. My primary opponent is a Republican who ran for this seat last cycle as a Republican and sought the endorsement of the Republican Liberty Caucus. I hope everyone will come out and support me, and tell everyone to come out and support me as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Judge Michael De Leon.
Morning, everyone. I'm Judge Michael De Leon, your judge of County Court at Law number 7. I'm running for re-election. Before I became a judge, I was a prosecutor with the District Attorney's Office. I was a felony prosecutor handling domestic violence cases, and that's my court. My court handles nothing but domestic violence cases. So before I became a judge, I was a domestic violence prosecutor for more than 10 years, handled over 100 jury trials. I do have a primary opponent. My primary opponent has only tried one jury trial in her young 5-year career. So I hope I can earn your support. And I am, you can get more information at get my website mixed up, judgedeleon.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Judge Michael Murray.
Good morning, everybody. And now that I've got the full screen, I see a bunch of faces that I've missed. So happy to see you all in this festive season. I'm going to echo Madeline Dewar, who stole my thunder. Merry Christmas to all my Christian friends and happy holidays to everyone. And I wish you all a very blessed and safe new year filled with grace and peace. And I look forward to hearing from the professor today. We all know we're losing our democracy, but I hope his comments will show us how to fight back and save it. Look forward to this great meeting. And Bob, you've been doing a fabulous job. Thank you all.
Well, thank you, Judge. I don't know about fabulous, but I try. Okay. Rogelio Lopez. Sorry. Okay.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I am on my way to another appointment, so let me pull over. I am the Justice of the Peace in Precinct 4. I have been the sitting judge for the last 13 years, and I've been a licensed attorney for 28 years. And the Justice of the Peace Court is kind of a different kind of court in that you don't have to be an attorney to sit there. However, in Bexar County, we handle a massive number of cases, 50,000 plus cases, and it's pretty regular to see attorneys there. So I do believe that in cities and counties like ours, though it's not required legally, I think it's required for the citizens of Bexar County. And so, again, as of right now, I am told I have 4 opponents, none of whom are attorneys. So we're in for a fun ride. But like I said, I've been there 13 years, and I appreciate y'all helping get the word out. And Merry Christmas and happy holidays to all our good friends. Thanks.
Thank you. Ivalis Mesa Gonzalez. Ivalis?
Here, I'm on mute. There we go.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. This is Ivalis Mesa Gonzalez. I'm running for Bexar County Judge. It's wonderful to see a lot of faces here on Zoom. Obviously, you guys know Northeast Bexar County Democrats has a very special place in my family's heart. And the work that you guys have continued to do over the last 20 years, no matter what our county has faced, is what keeps us going. So thank you all to the members of Northeast Bexar County Democrats. Again, I'm running for Bexar County Judge. I've spent the last 4 years in the mayor's office as chief of staff, and most recently in the last 2 years dealing with everything related to COVID, to Snowvid, to a $3.1 million budget that we just approved this last summer. So I look forward to taking all of those experiences with me to the county. And thank you all for having me. Happy holidays. And hope to see you all soon at the February event. Don't you guys have a fundraiser coming up?
We do.
Yes.
We meet on the 17th.
Yes,
Right.
I will see you all there. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you. Andrea Arevalos.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to be here with you all today. My name is Andrea Arevalos. I'm a judicial candidate for County Court at Law number 5. I have already filed my application. I appreciate the support and you all always letting us introduce ourselves. I appreciate many of you signing my petitions, and I look forward to seeing you again on the campaign trail in the coming months. I'm very excited, and I hope to gain your support and, more importantly, your vote. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and enjoy your weekend. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Judge Rosie Speedland Gonzalez. Rosie, you're on mute, Rosie.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias, Judge Rosie Speedland Gonzalez. I want to thank y'all for your hospitality. Bob, for always reminding me to please come to the meetings. I am on the ballot, or 84 petitions were filed, 600 verified signatures, and a full filing fee. So we look forward to seeing what place we get on the ballot. For the club, know that you can count on me for some level of sponsorship for your February event. If there's anything we can do for you from the court, thank you very much. I'm in between events like many of the candidates. I'll hang on in here as long as I can before I get to my next destination. You all have a great weekend. And if I don't see any of you all before the holidays are over, have great holidays, whether that's Christmas, Kwanzaa, Ramadan just passed, or Hanukkah. So it's a season of lots of festivities and holidays, and I hope you all get to enjoy that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Jessica Cisneros.
Hi, everyone. I'm here in Laredo, Texas. I just wanted to join all of you. I'm the candidate for Congress in Texas 20th Congressional District. You might remember me last time I was there at the meetings. And I was so thankful to be able to have earned your endorsement and support last time around, because as you may know, we were able to earn 48.2% of the vote against a 15-year entrenched incumbent, and that obviously wouldn't have been possible without all of you. So thank you so much for banking our campaign. We're back to finish what we started. We really hope we can count on your support, because especially right now that we know that our country's at a crossroads, democracy is at stake, that choice is at stake. There's somebody who's actually going to be fighting for, our health care, that we are expanding our reproductive freedoms, we are expanding Medicare to include, vision, hearing, and dental, because we know that we need it. Someone that's actually going to be on the side of our labor unions and our workers. We just need somebody who actually represents democratic values. So I really hope I can count on your support again. We're on the ballot already. It's going to be another, really close race, but I know that with everyone's support, we're going to come out on top. So thank you all so much for having me here today. And I really hope to see you.
Thank you so very much. Paul Talamantes.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm a member of the Northeast Bexar County Democrats, and I am running as a candidate for Justice of the Peace Precinct number 3. I'm asking for your support and your vote. I have a licensed attorney for 27 years. I'm an associate judge for the city of Cibolo as a municipal court judge, and a prosecutor for the city of Kirby. And I've had former experience as a municipal court judge full-time for the city of San Antonio. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm asking for your support and your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph Jaworski, on the road, I see.
Yes, sir, Robert. In downtown Falfurrias, Texas, on the way to the Cabrito Summit, and it is my honor to be with the Northeast Bexar County Democrats. Let me take these shades off. I'm Joe Jaworski, running to be your next Texas Attorney General. And we have a good issue, which is that for the first time in over 20 years, we have a contested Democratic primary. And I want you to hear it from me. I welcome Lee Merritt, Rochelle Garza, and the others who are running in this. It's a good sign of a healthy Democratic Party. First time in over 20 years, we've had a contested primary. Now, let me say, I humbly submit I am the best choice for several reasons. I am a 30-year licensed Texas lawyer. Not every candidate can say that. I am a third-generation Texas trial lawyer. So like our great Democratic Attorney General John Hill, I will bring trial lawyer values in federal and state court to the AG's office. Not every candidate in this primary can say that. I'm a former mayor and mayor pro tem and city councilman, so I believe in local control. Ron Nirenberg would agree, I'm sure. Let San Antonio be San Antonio. Let Abilene be Abilene. Let Brownsville be Brownsville. That's the kind of attorney general I'll be. And then finally, I have the heart of a servant. My grandfather, Leon Jaworski, served as the Watergate special prosecutor. His blood is in my veins. Our family legacy is no man is above the law. And I think it's appropriate to hold corrupt Ken Paxton to that standard. It'll be my honor to do it with your support. God bless y'all. And finally, tomorrow I'll be in Bexar County, and we're having a meet and greet for Joe, me, at the county headquarters with Monica, and 11 a.m. at the Bexar County headquarters. And we have lots of sweets and tacos and coffee, and we'd love to see you.
Thank you so very much. Look forward to seeing you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Judge Helen Petrie-Stowe.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Wonderful to see you all. Wishing everyone very, very happy holidays. I am, of course, back on the ballot for re-election coming up in the spring. I was so honored to receive your endorsement the last time I ran in 2018, and I hope that I will be able to achieve that again. As you remember, I had a career as a public school teacher, went back for a second career in law, I practiced criminal law for more than 14 years, bringing so much experience to this bench. I have brought back a specialty court that helps people in our community with substance abuse issues with DWI cases, and I'm very proud of the work we are doing. We're getting ready to have a graduation this coming Friday. I want to invite you all to the Neighborhood Place on Friday morning at 10 a.m. It is located down by SAC. If you have time and want to come and see the type of work that we are doing in County Court at Law Number 1, and the graduation of many of the members of that specialty court is going to take place. It's great to see you all. Thank you again, Bob. Thank you all to the Northeast Bexar County Dems. And I think I've used my 30 seconds. So you'll have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday.
Thank you. Thank you. Have I missed someone? Just pipe up, please.
I got here late, Judge Yolanda Huff.
Okay, all right. I didn't see you. I'm sorry.
Okay, did you want me to go?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. I apologize for arriving a little late. I have many events planned this morning, but I'm Judge Yolanda Huff. I preside over County Court 12. It is a criminal misdemeanor bench. And like Judge Helen Petrie Stowe, I preside over specialty court, the mental health court. I've done a lot of things to improve that court these past 3 years, and I look forward to getting on that bench again come this November 22. I need all you guys' help, and you can just Google me, go to my website to see all the many improvements that I've done over the last 3 years. Thank you guys again.
Thank you. Greg Kassar?
Yeah, hi, thanks so much. I'm Greg Kassar, and I'm running to be your progressive champion who will deliver for Bexar County in the now open Congressional 35. As you all know, the gerrymandering that happened in Texas was awful. One current result of that, we'll see how things go in the civil rights litigation, is that Congressman Doggett is now running in a Austin only seat, and Texas 35, even though it remains a majority Austin seat, it runs down into central and eastern Bexar County. I'm an Austin City Council member, but I'm not running to be the Austin candidate or the San Antonio candidate. I'm running to be your candidate that can really deliver the progressive change that it is that we need. I'm running on good jobs, a functional electric grid, restoring reproductive rights and voting rights, and Medicare for all. And really on addressing the everyday issues that working people have that get ignored too often, especially at the state level. So even though I've been an Austin council member, I've worked really closely with folks in San Antonio, worked closely with council member Ray Saldaña to set up immigrant legal defense funds. During the very beginning of the Trump administration, we set them up in Austin and San Antonio, the first two in the state, led on the statewide lawsuit against the Show Me Your Papers law and coordinated that very closely with the city of San Antonio, worked closely with council member Ana Sandoval on the cite and release policies, both in Austin and San Antonio, to drastically reduce arrests. And that's why I've earned the endorsements of several San Antonio leaders. Really appreciate Bob's support, lots of other people's help. Recently earned the endorsements of the communication workers, Unite Here there in San Antonio, along with the San Antonio Building Trades Council and council members like Ana Sandoval, Jalen McKee Rodriguez, and Terry Castillo. But most importantly, I want to earn your support and get to know you. And so I'm going to put my personal email in the chat. We're regularly having events in San Antonio. We're about to open up the San Antonio office. So you'll see me there multiple times a week as I hope to not just earn your support in this campaign, but continue to build the progressive movement we need to transform the politics of the state so that the lights turn on and so that everyday people can get taken care of. So it's really, really great to be with each of you here. I know this is just such an amazing club. So thank you.
Thank you. Marisa Flores.
Hello. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Marisa Flores here, candidate for the 224th District Court in Bexar County. I received word from the Secretary of State's office that my application was accepted to be on the primary ballot. So that's that's exciting, and we're moving forward in my campaign, and I am looking forward to getting to know all of you and supporting this organization. I have been a practicing attorney here in Bexar County, practicing civil litigation, family law, worked extensively with domestic violence victims as the director of the legal department for the Battered Women's and Children's Shelter. So I have the experience, the right experience that we need for this bench. I think we've all seen the news lately about the epidemic of domestic violence in our community. So I think it's really important to have judges who understand the dynamics of family violence, and I bring that to the bench. And I look forward to continuing getting to know you guys and supporting this group. So have a wonderful day. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Becca de Feliz.
Hi, everybody. I'm Becca de Feliz. I'm seeing lots of familiar faces here this morning. You might remember me from the Democratic primary in House District 121 in 2020. I was not planning on running again this cycle. However, recent developments in this district, and with the encouragement and support of my family, community leaders, and several organized labor leaders, I have decided that I will be filing on Monday, 2 days from now. This is a very recent decision, and so we will have the campaign up and running by Monday when I file, and I look forward to hopefully earning your support again in this cycle. And really, at the end of the day, Texas moms are mad, y'all, and we cannot stand by and allow the legislature to continue to attack women, families, and working Texans. So I hope to earn your support and your vote in 121. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Becca. All right. Okay. I think we've got everyone. So at this
Bob?
point, I'm sorry. Oh,
Hi, Bob. Hi,
I'm sorry. I didn't see him, Judge.
Yeah, hi. I'm sorry. I joined in a little bit late. This is Frank Davis, your judge in County Court of Law number 10. I want to thank everybody for signing my petitions. I'm about to go file for office, and I really appreciate this. I think I got everyone's signature in Bexar County, it feels like, or at least several hundred of them. Just felt like a lot. But I really do appreciate everything y'all have done for us. And I am so looking forward to Becca's campaign. I'm right here in your neighborhood, and I'm looking forward to voting for you, ma'am. Thank you.
Hey, great.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
This is Bob Comeaux. May I make a related comment?
Sure.
A few years ago, when Manuel Medina was the chair, I was able to work with the candidate and get an opponent disqualified because there were insufficient number of valid signatures on the petition. There were a lot of people with the same signature. A lot of people did not live in the county, did not live in the right precinct. And so lacking the right number, Manuel Medina removed that candidate. I know there are at least 4 challenges blooming right now in Bexar County, and we need to give our party chair we need to tell her that she's got to do the right thing. And if a candidate shows that there's an insufficient number of signatures, that opposition candidate should be barred from being on the ballot. They've got to be able to follow the rules. And I know that there's some people that say, oh, let them be on the ballot. And all that does is cost, our candidates, $80,000, $100,000 when there shouldn't be anybody on the ballot because they didn't follow the rules. That's just a comment that I have to make.
Okay, I'd like to, being on the primary committee, I would like to say something. Some of the people who are challenging are just saying they aren't right and they're not doing anything. Monica and the primary committee is not responsible for checking all the signatures. We have one candidate who has given us all kinds of data showing which people were not eligible, et cetera, and provided the proof. That is what needs to be done. If somebody wants to challenge, they've got to challenge and show what they're challenging. We are not responsible, nor do we have manpower to go through hundreds of signatures and check every one. That's not our job That's the challenger's job.
I agree totally.
I'm sorry. May I say something, please? This is Judge Stephanie Boyd.
Sure.
I'm actually one of the persons who is challenging my opponent's signatures because they don't have enough signatures. I would be more than happy to give my data to go through each voter that there is an issue with, the people, because my challenger has people who are out of county. But, and maybe there's miscommunication, but what I was told was, and I received a letter saying that that is not the party chair's job, that it would have to be a suit filed. Now, if I'm now being told that no, the party chair will do it if you provide proof and show which signature there is an issue with, I will come forward and do that. I have the data for it. I have the spreadsheet, and I'll do that. If that's what I'm being, if that's what's being told and that's now the rule, I'll be more than happy to do that.
Yeah, Stephanie, we had real problems getting information from the Secretary of State. We now have gotten that kind of information. If you have that data, bring it in and we'll look at it, okay?
All right, thank you so much. That clears up a lot. Thank you so much, Madeline. And Bob, thank you so much for putting it out there. I'm a firm believer, even in my court, I say communication is key. Let's find out what's needed. And then I will do that. I'll bring that to you.
Okay, thank you so very much. Well,
all right, thank you.
Okay, we're only running about 20 minutes late here, but that's fine. It's very important to get everybody introduced and so that we know who we're going to be voting for come March. Okay, I'm going to move right on in and introduce our speaker for this morning, Dr. Jonathan Bernstein, who was a Bloomberg columnist and formerly was a political science professor at UTSA. Dr. Bernstein, fire away.
Just unmuting myself. Okay. It's great to be here. I appreciate the invitation, and I hope that I have some good information for you all. I was asked to talk about, I chose to talk about two things, democracy and the Republicans, the state of American democracy, and then the midterms. And so I'm putting the information together, and I mainly am, I'm looking through and I'm thinking, boy, I have a lot of bad news for them, I'm afraid to say. So I want to stop at the beginning and say, look, there's a lot of bad news out there. There's a lot of bad things out there, but do not despair. There's been a little bit of a debate at sort of the national level about Democratic despair. A lot of Democrats seem to be very unhappy about the state of affairs and not so much angry or disappointed, but there's this sense of despair. That's inappropriate is what I would say to you. And I'll get at the end to sort of why I think that despair is the wrong reaction to all this. But I should open by saying I have some bad news. So bad news number one is about the state of American democracy. And you all know this. We have one of our two major political parties, the Republican Party, has turned against democracy. And there's not really, as a political scientist, that's really the only way you can say it. What I can do is give a little context to that. What we're seeing with the Trump Republican Party is new. We haven't really seen anything exactly like this in American history before, but on the other hand, it's also not new. The roots of anti-democracy go very deep, and over time, they've not only been in the Republican Party. Here in Texas, as you all know probably, if you go back to before 1965, before 1970, before 1960, the roots of the Democratic Party was the problem with democracy. Of course, there was no Republican Party, so we're looking at the appeal of a the appeal to Americans, to people in this part of the country, of a anti-democratic of authoritarianism, of one-partyism, goes very deep. And there's strains of it throughout history in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And if you look back through the Republican Party, you can see it doesn't start with Trump. You can see Newt Gingrich, you can see Richard Nixon, you can see various, going back to Joe McCarthy, you can see strains of anti-democratic feeling in the Republican Party. And that all sort of gets Donald Trump nominated in the first place, and then turns into what we saw on January 6th and surrounding January 6th, where we had a president of the United States who tried to overturn an election. We're going to find out more about this. We have finally hearings coming up with the select committee in the House, but the basics of it, we all saw on TV on January 6th, and we all know because the former president hasn't shut up about it for the last year, about how he'd like to overturn the election. And that's something that's sort of a little bit new. The stuff that we're dealing with here in Texas and nationally about voter suppression, laws to make it more difficult for some people to vote, that's something that we're all sort of used to fighting against, for those of us who think that democracy is important and that voting should be easy. We can go back to the roots of this, go back to the 19th century, go back to the early 20th century, when you have something like voter registration, which we all sort of think is a normal thing. It's not normal. If you go to other countries, people are automatically on the voter rolls. They don't have to go out of their way to register to vote. It's not an extra hurdle. And why was it put in? It was not put in for some sort of, benign reason. It was put in to make it harder for people to vote, especially new groups of voters in the North that were coming in, and immigrant groups that were coming in and threatening to overwhelm the natives. Well, let's make it harder for them to vote. Let's have complex procedures. So that kind of thing. And of course, in the South, we have much more direct ways of preventing people from voting, with poll taxes and grandfather clauses and all the stuff that we know we had. If you look at the sort of the scope of United States democracy, a lot of political scientists, a lot of comparative politics people look at democracy in different countries, and a lot of people who study American politics will tell you, well, we think of the United States as one of the longest democracies in the world, and there's some truth to that. But we also can say, yes, but until 1965, we didn't really have a very robust democracy. And 1965 is within my lifetime. As I look around at all the faces I see, it's, some of you are in my age range or more. Some of us maybe remember when voting was very restricted. There's a story we tell ourselves about the franchise being expanded constantly, that in certain times we went from just property owners to everybody, and then eventually women got the vote, and eventually we had the civil rights laws and we had the Voting Rights Act. All that is true to an extent, but we also have reaction to it. We have restrictions. We have the end of Reconstruction in the South. We have voting registration and the progressive era where voting was restricted. And now, after the Great Expansion in the 1960s, we now have a fight by Republicans to further restrict the vote. Trumpism adds to that an effort to overturn elections. And we can talk more about the details, but it's a very big danger. I was at a political science conference back in September, and I talked to other political scientists, and they say, and they didn't have solutions. We don't seem to have a good solution. And in particular, we were talking about this, actually, a bunch of political scientists over Twitter last night. it's probably not something that Democrats per se can stop. We can do what we can. Democrats can do what they can. They can govern well. They can try to win elections. Democrats can try to make democracy more resilient where they can, so that if the Democrats win, they can pass stronger laws and all that. But the danger, unfortunately, you can't say, well, Democrats will now just decide to win all the elections, because that's not realistic. Eventually, Republicans are going to come back into office, and we'll see, at the time, whether it's Donald Trump is going to be president again, or whether whoever the next Republican president is, whether it happens in 2025 or 2029 or whenever it is, if that's a Trump type of president who is going to try to turn against democracy. But going back to what I said before about Texas Democratic Party, the good news is that we know that parties do change. The Southern Democratic Party was a nightmare. The Dixiecrats were a nightmare. And now, I look around at this meeting and I see all these diverse and wonderful candidates that this county has, and around the state, and and in Congress. And this Democratic Party of 2021 is nothing like that Democratic Party, which nationally, if you go back 100 years, 110 years, was a disaster. So parties can change. Do we know how that happens? I don't have an answer for you, unfortunately, but we do, I would say we do know that things can change. And unfortunately, there's nothing that Democrats can do to change the Republican Party other than to try to lead by example, I guess. I don't know. But I guess what I would say in terms of hope is that all the things that we see in the newspapers and we read about, they're all about risks to democracy. And we shouldn't get into a despair mode where we assume that because there's a risk, things are going to be bad. We know that in 2020, the President of the United States attempted to overturn the election. We also know he failed miserably. We know that Republican elected officials across the country, almost unanimously, the ones who really had the authority to do something terrible didn't. They stood up to him. Now, we also know that Donald Trump is right now, and Republicans are right now trying to kick out the people who stopped them. Whether it's, the statewide elected officials, or whether it's even down to election boards. And that's real scary stuff, but we don't know how it ends. It's very possible that, some of these, if you look at somebody like the governor and the Secretary of State of Georgia, who stood up to Donald Trump, Republicans who stood up to Donald Trump, if you looked at them 6 months before, a year ago, before the election, you would have said, these are standard issue Republicans who will do what Donald Trump tells them to do. It turned out that where they sat mattered to them. Their positions mattered to them, and they took those things seriously. So we can hope that that will be the case going forward. And hope ain't much, but it's not nothing. That's democracy. Switching, the best thing for democracy right now would be if Democrats actually were able to add a couple Senate seats, hold the House, and pass some of the voting rights legislation that's very important in the national level. Political scientists will tell you that what goes into midterms normally are two main things. One is presidential approval, and the other is what they call exposure. Exposure is simply how many seats are at risk. Right now, Joe Biden is not very popular. Joe Biden is at 43% approval rating nationally. That's terrible. It's not the worst we've ever seen, but it's not good. In fact, the only president during the polling era, the only president who was doing worse at this point of the presidency was Donald Trump. On the other hand, what we know is that presidential fortunes are like double jeopardy. They change rapidly, or at least they can. Bill Clinton was in his first year earlier than this, down in the 30s. Joe Biden hasn't gone anywhere from there, and Clinton actually recovered up past 50% later in that his first or second year, I can't remember exactly, and then bounced back. He did badly, then eventually did better for re-election. Presidents go up and down 10 points all the time. We just saw Joe Biden go down 10 points. It is certainly possible that he will recover. We don't know. His approval rating right now says little about where he'll be next fall, and it says virtually nothing about where he'll be for a re-election in 2024 if he's the one on the ballot. What goes into presidential approval are the big thing that goes into presidential approval is the economy, is really just peace and prosperity. If you have peace and prosperity, president usually is pretty popular. If not, you have trouble. The only other big thing is major scandals. Biden so far has been scandal-free. I think that it seems likely that Biden will stay scandal-free. He's an experienced politician, doesn't seem to be, particularly in danger of that. Right now, the economy is a big problem for him. Despite the economy growing a lot, despite the job market recovering quite well, people are legitimately and really upset about inflation, which is high, and some of the other byproducts of the pandemic, the supply chain problems, labor market shortages, and that's probably, and in other words, it really all gets back to, more than anything, the pandemic. Biden was cruising along pretty well before the Delta wave hit this summer. If you ask me, it's all guesswork. We don't know what will affect Biden's approval, but we have a pretty good idea. And the story I would tell right now is this. A year ago, more than that, summer, I bought a whole bunch of cloth masks, and I keep losing them because we do, right? And I'm still wearing them occasionally. If I go to HEB, I still put a mask on. My guess is that if I have to replace those masks this summer, that I've lost them and they've worn out by this coming summer, Joe Biden's in big trouble. If I don't, he's probably going to be in pretty good shape. It really comes, my guess is that most of what's going wrong with him is the pandemic and people who really expected change and are not getting it on the pandemic. And that if that turns around, he's going to move up from that 43% he's at now back to a much healthier situation. And it's very possible that the Democrats will, if that happens, may do surprisingly well in 2022. Part of what goes into that, the second part of that, is exposure. This year, in some ways, a lot like 1962 of all years, when John F. Kennedy was elected. He was elected by a very narrow margin, and he lost seats. The Democrats lost seats that year in congressional elections. That made it very difficult for Kennedy to pass anything in Congress in 1961 and 62. But then Democrats turned around and did well, relatively well in the midterms that year, because there were very few seats in danger. Now, this time around, in 2022, Democrats are going to get hurt by reapportionment and get hurt by redistricting in states where Republicans are gerrymandering. The national balance of gerrymandering is going to hurt the Democrats. But it's, and because Democratic margins are so thin in Congress, there's a very good chance that they're going to lose at least the House and perhaps the Senate as well. However, none of that is certain. And there's one other factor that comes in, which is Trump himself. Trump is out there promoting candidates who in many cases are terrible candidates. The Republican Party is looking forward to a bunch of heated primaries this spring and next summer. And it's very possible that they're going to have a series of bad candidates elected. Here in Texas, you know, I'm not optimistic about the Democrats' chances against Greg Abbott. And I don't expect it to happen, but if Alan West was to be the Republican candidate, I think Democrats would have an excellent chance of winning the governor's seat. You know, it's a little different. And as you go around the ballot, well, Republicans have an attorney general who's a crook. I mean, who is an alleged crook. And so, you know, he might be more vulnerable than the governor. But, you know, again, a lot of this comes down to the president's popularity, and a lot of that's going to come down to the economy, which is really going to come down to the pandemic. So, you know, the basic story of the midterms is it should be a good Republican year. It may not be a good Republican year. Just to sort of close up, and then I'm happy to take questions. I have fun taking questions, so I hope people have some if they do. Nothing is written in politics. Politics is what we make of it. Political scientists can tell you the trends. They can tell you how things relate to each other, but there's always the possibility of something different, because politics is what each of us collectively make of our situation. The despair is the wrong reaction to a situation that looks bad. The best reaction, you know, anger is a good reaction. Can't hold anger too long, but hope is a good reaction too. Keep working, keep trying. There's no magic formula for how to overcome Trumpism. There's no magic formula for how to overcome what Supreme Court's been doing and it's going to do, and it's going to be bad. But there is, you know, the thing that works is everything you do. The thing that works is coordinated hard work and action. And if if you look back to the one-party South, and that was defeated, and we brought, Black activists and allies brought democracy to Texas, to the country, when we didn't have it. And things were much, much more bleak 100 years ago in Texas, and 100 years ago across the South, and really 100 years ago in the nation than they are now. So there's no reason for despair. There's reason for worry, and there's reason for concern. But and there's no magic formula again for solving everything. There's no, if only Nancy Pelosi would do this, if only Joe Manchin would do that, if only Joe Biden would do this. All that you can do is keep working, keep at it, and you don't know the answer. History isn't written yet. So I see a lot of reasons why people react by being depressed, because there's a lot of scary stuff out there, but that's not, depression, despair doesn't solve the problem. Hard work does. And if you think things aren't good, and you all are doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and that can work. So I'm going to stop there, and I'll take questions if anybody has any. Yeah.
Am I on?
Al.
Yeah. It's clear that the Republicans are going to use fear as a major campaign issue. And I think the easiest response to that is hope. But I wonder if integrity and honesty is going to ever be a clear campaign issue across the Democratic Party.
It's a good question. As a political scientist, I look at it and I say, what people vote on is people vote their pocketbook, and people vote the
They vote
economy.
their emotions, yeah.
And you know, the truth is, we know people vote bigotry also, and there's no solution to that. But you know, I'm not, you know, I wish that people would look at somebody like, you know, it's an embarrassment. I mean, I talk to people who live in other states. Your attorney general, oh yeah, he's been under indictment for his entire, you know, for his entire term of office. And in a completely separate incident, his whole staff quit conservative Republicans and accused him of being corrupt. And he's still there and he's going to run for another term. You know, it's an embarrassment. All I can tell you is I don't see a whole lot of people who vote on that.
You don't think it's worth making that a campaign issue? Integrity and accomplishments. I mean,
yeah.
In other words, accentuate the positive.
You know, I think I think lots of things can work on the margins, and I'm not, I've been involved as a participant in politics a long time ago before I went to grad school. You try what issues you can, you poll them and you see what they're doing, and you talk to people and you see what they're reacting to. So I can't tell you, no, that doesn't work. I can give big picture stuff. Big picture, people are not going to turn against the Republicans because Donald Trump is Donald Trump.
Is a liar. Right. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, on the margins, absolutely. You know, I can't tell you what can work. I can tell you, you know, my sister's a pollster. She would tell you what, you know, hire her. She'll tell you what specifically might make marginal difference in the little tech, in each campaign. It's not much of an answer.
I had my hand up for a while, Mr. Chairman.
William B. Johnson. William B.
Thank you very much, Professor. As I look at the political scene nationally, really, particularly nationally, it seems to me that we've got one party, our party, who seem to be gung-ho about playing by the rules. You know, they want bipartisanship, they want all this good, nice stuff, when in fact, we're at war. And they don't seem to realize the urgency of the situation that we're in this country. I mean, this is it. You know, the smiling and grinning and what have you is fine sometimes, but we're at war here politically for the life of the country, really, the Democratic Republic here. But they're not acting like it. And I have a real concern about that. But our friends in South Texas is what really gets my attention. You would think many of those would be a natural constituency for Democrats. But for whatever reason, they seem to, according to the numbers I saw, more than 40%, maybe 43 or 44%, are inclined not to support a Democratic Party. So something is going on here that is deeper than people tend to think. I don't know if it's a machoism or something that we're not touching the folk. The folk, you know, it's just really, really tough. But I'd like to see him declare war and every move that Biden and others should make should be about politics, should be a political move and no if, and, or but. So why do you think the Hispanic folk in South Texas are supporting a party other than Democratic Party, Professor?
Let me speak to, I can speak to the national part of that much better than I can speak to the South Texas part of it. I think the South Texas point is a very important one, and I wish I could give you an answer, and I do not have an answer for you. On the national side of things, and in terms of taking seriously the threats to democracy, I think that the real issue here is where the votes lie. It's not a question of Joe Biden and national Democrats not taking the problem seriously. I think it's a problem of 50 votes in the Senate, and that they don't have the votes to pass bills that that have passed the House, that the president supports, that 48 or 49 Democrats support. and that need, not only do they need 50 votes in the Senate, but they need 50 votes plus changes to the rules of the Senate. And for understandable but not sufficient, in my view, reasons, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, who's moderate Democrat, not really a conservative Democrat, he's a moderate liberal Democrat in a very conservative, very Republican state, isn't willing to go along at this point. And I think a lot of what you see publicly are Democrats who are trying to move Manchin, move Sinema of Arizona in the direction of doing that. And I know for Democrats out here in the country, it's a very frustrating process to watch, because when the president talks about bipartisanship and he talks about that we can all be united, it's very obvious that that's not reciprocated. And so I'm not disagreeing with you on that part of it, but what it takes to get Manchin over the finish line, which is really what the whole game is, what Biden and what Chuck Schumer should be doing, in my view, is whatever it takes to get Manchin over the finish line, to support Restoring Voting Rights Act, to support changes in the law about how we count electoral votes, changes, legislation to do other things, to protect democracy, to counter election subversion. The whole game there is getting the 50 votes in the Senate, and whatever it takes to do that. And I'm an outsider. I pay a lot of attention. But I'm not there talking to people. And the question is, what would get Joe Manchin to say yes? And right now, the focus is getting him to say yes to the Build Back Better Act, which is a big, important piece of legislation, no question about it. We will see what plans the president, what plans Chuck Schumer, what plans Nancy Pelosi have to get over the finish line on some of these other, on the democracy bills, because they are important. There's no question about it. And I don't think that it's true that Democrats are not playing hardball on these things. I think it's just that it doesn't, that sometimes when you're in office, you look less. There are good reasons for Biden to appear to take the position publicly of being bipartisan and looking for unity while still working for some of these things. So
thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Judge Stephanie Boyd.
Yes. I was listening to you earlier as I was driving, but I wasn't being unsafe. It seems that the Republican Party started changing once Pat Buchanan came out with his culture wars. But that party said, you're not welcome here with that. And so then he left the party to run, I think he ran as an independent.
He did.
So it seems that the Republican Party has a lot of their fringe element, and I say that respectfully, but their fringe element is now running the party. Sort of like the children and the toddlers are running the party, and no one is saying anything. Do you see any changes in that trend, or is the Republican Party now 100% going to be the fringe party? And if people continue to say that the Republican Party's tent is shrinking, which I think it is, and I think that's why you have a lot of the gerrymandering going on, what can be done? What can the Democratic Party do? Because it seems now that some of Republicans are leaving the Republican Party. They're still Republican, but they're leaving the Republican Party and becoming Democrats or independents, but are still Republicans and still hold true to Republican values. That's number one. And number two, do you think that if in the Senate, Manchin, Sinema were to go along or help pass some bills, but water it down, how will the progressives in the House feel about that? And also, do you think Senator Schumer is a weak leader? Because it seems like Nancy Pelosi always delivers. She delivered the health care bill out of the House when people said it wasn't coming out of the House. She said, yes, it was. It seems that Schumer has a hard time delivering the votes in the Senate, even though he has the votes in the, he has Democrats that would help with the vote in the Senate. There always seems to be an issue since Schumer has been the majority leader or even the minority leader. And it seems when he's in the position of minority leader, Republicans pass a lot of things that are a detriment to Democrats.
Those great questions. I love this group. Let me start with the third one. I don't have a sense of Chuck Schumer yet as majority leader. I think that in some ways he looks bad compared to Nancy Pelosi because I think we all underrate how incredible a leader Nancy Pelosi has been. Even those of us who like her and have said positive things about her. She is clearly, I think, the greatest of the modern speakers. And if she does retire after this term, her record is going to be, people are going to look back and realize what she's done. And that, whether it was getting Obamacare passed, getting, getting all the bills that are being passed, the big Build Back Better, which I think is going to pass, and the earlier bill, the relief bill earlier this year, and infrastructure. But then if you look at the other two terms where she's been speaker, she was speaker in the last 2 years of the Trump administration, so that she did get Trump impeached twice. And on top of that, both then and the last 2 years of George W. Bush. And what you notice is with those two Republican presidents, that the nation was in dire trouble. First from in Bush's second term with a terrible recession and then financial panic, and then with the pandemic for Trump. And both times Nancy Pelosi stepped up and saved the country. And I don't think people realize this, that, she got, when against her own electoral interests, against the interests of her party, but in the interest of the nation, patriotically, she passed, she got the emergency legislation in the fall of 2008 to prevent the financial panic from getting even worse. And she passed multiple relief bills in 2020 for the pandemic. If Nancy Pelosi had not taken over as speaker, if the Republicans had remained in the majority in the House during the pandemic, they may have listened to their president and said, oh, this is no big deal. Let's all drink bleach and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
And Nancy Pelosi didn't do that. And she, if you look at what happened, there were a lot of economists last fall, last March, April, who thought we were on our way to a depression. And instead, Pelosi said, no, we're going to get relief out to the states. We're going to put checks in people's bank accounts. We're going to, do all these things. And Republicans sort of said, oh yeah, I guess we'll go along. And, it's really an amazing story. So I'm sorry, I just like to sing the praises of Nancy Pelosi. She's very underrated. And against
we all agree with you. She is definitely underrated. We're about time now.
Okay, I'm gonna allow one more question. I'm sorry, we have 3 hands up, but I'm only going to let one go, and that'll be the first one that was up, and that's Ann Wietrowski. Then we have to cut it off because we're running about half an hour behind schedule. I'm sorry. Ann, go ahead. Unmute yourself. Ann, can't you unmute yourself? Let's see. Oh, okay.
She's having technical difficulties.
Having technical problems. Anna Lowry.
Okay,
then.
I got it. I got it now. Okay.
Ann came up.
Okay, so I'm wondering, I have seen the Republicans marketing, their message on TV and other, I think even on signs, they do marketing. And are we doing marketing? And, are you familiar with a book by George Lakoff, where he tells you how to use language in a way that makes it very simple and very clear and gets the message across? And are we doing anything like that? And I mean, what do you think? Don't the Republicans market more than we do?
It's a great question. I am familiar with Lakoff. I'm skeptical of that stuff, to tell the truth. I have an iron law of politics, which is that we all tend to think that everybody tends to think that the other party is better at messaging and is better at selling themselves than our party is. If you look at the sort of national results, Democrats have won plenty of votes. So I'm not sure that the Democrats do, and again, and this gets back to a question that I talked about earlier. On the margins, sure, you can always do better. So, absolutely, if you're running a campaign and you're talking about that you're going to win or lose by 5 points or 2 points or 1 point, yeah, you want to do the best job you can. Overall, I think it tends to wash out, and that there's as many Republicans who do a bad job as there are Democrats who do a bad job. I wanted to just very quickly go back to one question, which I had skipped over, but I do think that as upset as whatever happens with the Senate, I think if Build Back Better does get through the Senate, I think that the House progressives who are very, one of the huge differences right now between the parties, if you take somebody like AOC, you take these progressive Democrats who are very, very liberal, but they're pragmatic liberals. They believe in bargaining and cutting the best deal they can for their constituents and for their ideas. And then if you look at the Republican side and you look at who their fringe people, who their extremists are, these are a bunch of people who have no interest in passing laws. They have no interest in making public policy. And it's a huge, big deal that, these AOC has nothing whatsoever in common with somebody like Bobbitt or, what's her name? That woman from Georgia. I'm blanking on her name. So I think that, you have a lot of talented politicians, both moderates and progressives, and they're looking within the Democratic Party, and they're looking to get things done. Do they always market themselves the best? Probably not. But I don't think that there's a huge, I don't think there's a simple solution. What I think is something that Democrats need to try to do to the best they can is, it's understandable when you're in power, when you get to midterms, to lose some of the momentum that you had when you're out of power, and you can look at the White House and you get angry. We don't get angry now. Democrats don't get angry when they look at the White House now. They might get frustrated, but they're not going to get angry. And frustration is a harder emotion to build on. But that's really what you need, is to just keep the momentum going in the off years. And whether it's, here in San Antonio or nationally. And it's just a hard thing to do. And you do it by working hard.
Thank you.
Building the party.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Bernstein. Really appreciate your insight into U.S. politics, and look forward to seeing you again with us. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on into our business meeting, and we'll start with the approval of our minutes, and I will share the minutes with you, I think.
I move that we approve the minutes.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
Bob Comeaux, I'd like to make one modification.
sure.
Campaign and candidate recruitment.
Yes,
When it says that their work brought in 300 voters who did not vote in the general election, I would modify that to say their work brought in more than 300 voters.
okay.
That slight modification because Colts operation did a great job, but on one specific on one specific task, they turned out 300 on a list that had not voted in the first election.
Great.
So,
Thank
that
you.
all seconded.
Yeah, okay, I have made that modification on the fly here. Okay, anything else? Anything else? Okay, all those in favor of
Hold on,
the,
I'm
yeah, sorry.
sorry. Can I say so? I just,
Of course.
on events and fundraising, it's the 17th, right here, the
Yes.
17th. Okay.
Events in front of it. Yeah, all right, so 17th. Yes. That, we will change that, okay?
Okay.
All right, any other changes? Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes as amended, please mark yes in your reactions. I see a hand up and okay. Okay, I'm going to stop the share. Minutes are approved. Thank you. Okay, and next item on the agenda
Al
is our,
Kissling has his hand up.
I'm sorry, Al Kissling? You have your hand up? Or you were voting? He was voting. He was voting.
Okay, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you. All right. Next item on the is our treasurer's report. Ryan, are you there?
Yes, can you hear
I
me?
can hear you.
Wait. The balance as of today, the total balance is $45,633.39. Of that, the BBAD portion is $10,820.18. And the other portion is $34,813.21. The most recent large piece of activity was the second of three payments for the hustle amount that was approved several months ago. It was about $8,000. And so I'm assuming that the next one will probably be in January. That expenditure was just paid a few days ago.
Okay. Thank you very much. We are, if I remember correctly, we are actually running under budget on household expenses. We had appropriated a substantial amount more, so it gives a more ample opportunity for other activities, early campaign activities. Thank you so much, Brian.
Okay, thanks.
Chair's report, and Zach is working hard for the mayor. We'll move on to committee reports, budget and finance, and that's moi, and we're in good shape. And we are well on budget for the year. Campaign and candidate recruitment is either Ian or Tony with us this morning.
No.
No. Well, I saw Colt. Is Colt with us? Colt?
I'm here.
Okay, tell us what's going on, Colt. Campaign wise.
Sure, a lot.
a lot has been going on, and like you said, we're running under under budget. We're kind of winding down our volunteer recruitment efforts for 2021 because of the holidays coming up and everything. But I just wanted to give kind of an overview of what we've done with NEBCD's money and what the Bexar County effort has been doing. We've been doing a lot, and we've been simultaneously building and executing at the same time. But it's honestly been going well. The volunteer recruitment was the first thing we did. That was the first text that we sent out, and we messaged a little under 70,000 people. It ranges from 12,000 to 26,000 at each of the county commissioner precincts. I broke it up by county commissioner precinct, so we were able to look at the data from each one and see how it compared and isolate the volunteers for each one. But from our initial text, we had 2,149 people say that yes, they were interested in volunteering. We of course had our Barnstorm event where we had almost 600 RSVPs. It ended up having 224 attendees. That's where we launched into the volunteer recruitment phone banking. We had, I think, a little over 17 phone banks. We had 51 people participate in the phone banks. Some of them more than once, and we made 2,227 volunteer calls. While we were in the middle of planning and working through our volunteer recruitment stuff, the HD 118 race came up, and a lot of our attention was diverted to that. Bob was talking about it a little bit earlier. We did volunteer recruitment calling into 118 for the Frank Ramirez campaign to recruit for their stuff. We hosted 2 block walks in the precinct 3 portion of House District 118, and of course we used their dialer and phone bank codes to make calls. We worked with Bob and did some really good targeting on vote by mail calls, and testament to focusing on that, because that's what we're going to be doing in the month of January. The volunteer recruitment, after we had our general phone banks and block walks, we shifted towards doing what we called the block training program, which is a little bit more intimate and involves one of the organizers that Bexar County hired, or a super volunteer that we've recruited that kind of goes out and does a block walk and does a phone bank with somebody to basically walk them through those first scary steps of making the cold calls and knocking on doors, but with the goal of trying to get as many people trained on the using minivan and the virtual phone banking tool. That's what those are the things we're going to be using next year. This year we were using them for volunteer recruitment because it's the lowest barrier, lowest threshold volunteer activity. But we've had about, I think, was it 43 recruits that have gone that we've trained through the block captain program. A lot more people that RSVP'd that will be that we are following up with right now. There's a lot of people that the organizers and our block captain trainers or personal trainers are currently doing block walks and phone banking with people on an individual basis, trying to just maximize the people that have signed up now going into the end of the year. The biggest portion of the hustle texting that we did, that was a lot of that bill that Brian was talking about, is the voter ID texting. We sent 113,961 texts to about, I guess it was 112,000 people. This year, it was a lot different than last year. It was kind of inverted, where we ID'd about 2,200 Republicans and about 500 Democrats in the target that the no field ID target. This didn't include the turnout targets and other Dem targets that TDP has. And I'm thinking, or I'm hoping that's where that TDP did their homework and improved their targeting and was able to capture more of those Dems in the other targets. And these are literally people that are the lowest Dem scores, or we don't know. But either way, we cleaned up the list, got rid of a bunch of wrong numbers and moves and stuff like that. Overall, we've sent a total of 191,614 texts. And like Bob said, we're under budget and planning on still using the allocated money for texting. But this year next year we'll be able to text through the list that we're going to call to clean up the list, capture low-hanging fruit, and make our efforts more efficient. But I wanted to give you all that overview of what we've been doing. It's been really busy, and I have to say that I feel like that the unknown factor that will unpredictably affect the election that Mr. Bernstein was talking about is what Bob said. It's us doing this. This is what he's talking about, and the voter contact that we're going to do is much more robust than just messaging. We're going to be talking to people. I'm very familiar with George Lakoff that was mentioned earlier, and I think he said that people only understand things from their own perspective, and you have to talk to people and have a conversation and not hit them with something and move on. But it's serious business. William mentioned that we're at war, and yeah, we are at war, and I can tell you that it's a ground war, and it's not easily affected from afar. And the thing that's gonna change thing is people talking to people and doing, we're gonna be doing a ton of vote by mail outreach in January to help people fill out the new form. That form is a tangible piece of voter suppression that you can hold in your hand. They tried to make it difficult, and these people aren't going to learn about, they're not going to see a Facebook ad or something on Instagram about how to do it. They're going to get a call from us, and it's super critical stuff. Last thing I'll say is we're going to be having our very last phone bank on next Thursday. We're going to be doing the volunteer calls, but I'm putting the link in the chat right now that if you want to check out the virtual phone banking system and learn how to do it while we're calling fellow Democrats, now's the time to do it, because when we get back from the holidays in January 3rd, we've got 8 weeks until the election, 6 weeks until early voting starts. and there's a lot of people that we need to talk to. So if you can, please sign up. And that's all I got, Bob.
Okay, thank you so very much, Colt. Much appreciated. Indeed, we do have to put a maximum effort into this early phase of outreach for eventual action for November. But the first effort is to get as many people out as possible to vote in the Democratic
I had a
primary.
question.
Sandy?
Are we using the hustle for a get out the vote effort?
We're not going to send like a GOTV text per se, like during early voting. I'm predicting that by 10 o'clock on election day, you'll have gotten 3 texts from 3 different groups telling you that it's time to vote if you haven't voted already, kind of thing. And we're gonna be texting through the vote by mail target before we call it to let people know that the TDP. I've got 2 different confirmations that the vote by mail applications are supposed to hit people's mailboxes on the 10th of January. So I want to text them like the day before, that Sunday, and say, hey, the ballot's coming, it's legitimate, fill it out. We can answer any questions or give them any tips, and then they'll get the ballot, and then then we'll be calling through as well the turnout, the low propensity Dem targets. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to text through before we start block walking, just to weed out the bad numbers or bad names, any Republicans. If there's any Dems we can ID, good, ID them, and then we don't have to stop at that house. That'll get us into February. But I'm just afraid that it's going to be texting overload when we get close to the election.
Good, because I was reading on the Hustle website that the GOTV was not cost effective. It was real expensive and it just wasn't cost effective. So I appreciate that you clarified that. The other thing I wanted to say was about, I just recently went to or attended a Zoom, a group from Indivisible, where a guy was talking about social nationalism. What was it? Nationalism, Christian nationalism. Okay, and I put things in the website, in the chat here, to identify what a Christian nationalist is. And I do believe it would be very important for everyone to know and understand what that is. And for anybody that doesn't, like people that are voting against their type and things like that, they may not realize that they're voting for a racist, or that it's heading in that direction, that and the tactics that are being used, and to be able to identify who those people are that are putting, it's the Koch brothers, it's libertarians plus the Christian right money. So this is where, and the churches, this is where we're getting our asses kicked, is through the churches. So being able to identify when one of these churches, crosses a boundary, they can lose their 501c3 or whatever they're calling it now, status. So I think it's important for us to be able to identify those things for the people that we're reaching out to. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandy. Okay, we're going to move on to, we're back to you, Sandy. Communications, what's up?
I don't have a report for anything. Martha had sent an email that there were some interested people. I actually did not see Judge Sakai in the meeting, and while I was in the meeting, I sent out an invitation with a Zoom link to him. I think he was asking about the last meeting that we had. We need to have a meeting with membership and just, to brainstorm and talk about how we're going to solve the problem with people trying to reach out. I did direct John Owens, who is not in the meeting. John, are you in the meeting?
He was here.
I did let him in. He might have popped out.
Yes, I'm in the meeting.
I did direct John to go ahead and send out the invitation with the Zoom link to everybody. That way we're not doing a two-parter on the through Constant Contact. So you said that you are sending out, you verified that you are sending out the invitation. The people that are members are getting two. But then there's another group of people that just are general interest. And the reason why I did not do general interest. I just did, people that, we knew and trusted, and people that were CEC and also the coordinators. The Zoom link was because I didn't want to get bombed in the meeting. But if you are directing me to do that, then we're going to be sending it out to anybody that's interested.
I would think that anybody that's interested, we'll try to deal with the bombing.
Okay.
When we admit people.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Let's move on to events and fundraising. Ann?
So the events and fundraising plan is planning the it's called Evening with Democrats, and I want to thank the candidates present here, and our committee works real hard to create a face-to-face opportunities for you at the event, for the planning, the Evening with Democrats. And I can't see my writing. Anyway, it's on time, and we hope the candidates will look for our information in your email, and that the Democrats, let's see, okay. The membership, I wanted to say that we also are in need of, we're a small group, this group, and we're looking for people.
And we're not here. I'm not hearing you very well.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, I'll talk louder. So we're looking for people in the membership who want to learn and participate and contribute with such ideas to the committee.
There's audio.
And so that's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I wanted to describe the event, which is a roundtable event with the candidates rotating around to each table with a timer, so that people can ask questions. And we'll have hors d'oeuvres and wine, and it should be a very pleasant event.
Yeah.
And I would like to say that it's going to be good, strong hors d'oeuvres and wine, and we're going to go back to the tradition of get the candidates and elected officials serving the cake for dessert, which is fun for everybody. It's fun for them. It's fun for the guests. And we're going to have an auction, silent auction. So please, I need items for the silent auction. Historical, political stuff. For books, I only want coffee table type books or political books. But jewelry, maybe you have a nice piece of jewelry that you haven't worn in 30 years, and it's time to do a in-kind donation to the party. I know I have a long string of pearls that I'm going to donate. Anything, if you get a Christmas gift that, is really nice with something you're never going to use anyway, perfect idea. Give it to us. Call me or Mabel, and our contact information is on the webpage. We need the items and we need them as soon as possible so we can make the arrangements. This is important. Thank you.
What's the date?
February 17th, 6
Thursday night.
p.m. Thursday night, and it will be at the San Antonio Professional Firefighters Banquet Hall on I-10 West, kind of near Wurzbach. So we look forward to it. It's going to be a great evening. I'm sure everyone's going to have a wonderful time and a great opportunity for the candidates to get together with their supporters. Okay, thank you so much. Oh, and I just wanted to reiterate that we need volunteers. We need volunteers to do phone banking, to interest people in coming to the event, supporting the event. And we're going to need a lot of volunteers for setup on the 17th and prior to the 17th. So please contact Anne or me or Madeline or whoever, and we will be so happy to have your help to make this fundraiser a success. And that's an evening with Democrats. Thursday, February 17th, 2022, 6 p.m. Okay, government action and monitoring. Martha's husband is very ill with long COVID, and she's dedicating herself to that for the time being. And please, if you would direct your thoughts and good wishes in her direction, because Johnny Walker is really ill, and so ill that he's unable to get out of bed and needs oxygen levels are extremely low. So please keep Martha and her husband in your thoughts. Membership, Mabel Gavriloff. You muted yourself, Mabel.
Okay, here I am. I have just sent in the chat the totals that we have through today. I have sent people lapsed emails and people that are actually here in this meeting today. If you are here and you've gotten an email yesterday, please go to NEBCD.org and renew your membership or be a sustaining member for as little as $5 a month. All I can say is that all hands on deck are needed. Somebody asked, Judge Boyd, I think, asked the date again. It's February 17th. So, and that's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Mabel. Precinct organization. John, are you still here? John Goodman.
I'm here. Hi,
Okay.
everybody. I'll be real quick. I just put in the chat that we have 308 precinct chairs in the county party right now. And we got 6 new chairs to be sworn in at the county executive committee meeting on Tuesday. We're all very excited about that. The numbers are going up and down. We have had some people drop out, but we are slowly building our numbers. And then we have 36 coordinators right now. The coordinators, by the way, for people that don't know, it's kind of like a deputy precinct chair. These are people that sometimes help the precinct chair or sometimes take over the precinct when the precinct chair is inactive. We got 38 of those right now, and we'll have 2 more coming on at the CEC meeting on Tuesday. So we're excited about that. Any questions, please let me know.
A question.
Thanks. Question, Bob.
Yeah, question. Thank you very much for all that you do, John. It's just terrific. But can you please explain, understand there's a pause in the filing for precinct chairs, but it resumes again in January. How long does it go in January?
Let me get the dates and I'll put them in chat for you.
Thank you.
It starts again in January, it goes for another month. There was a pause over the holidays, but precinct chairs can continue filing for next year.
Can you?
Yeah,
Can
they start up again in January the 17th and go for like a month after that. The election for precinct chair will not take place in the primary. It will be in the primary runoff.
May 24th, May 24th, and no runoffs. It's the person
No
with the
runoffs.
most votes.
Right, plurality will win. Bob?
Can you send us a list through the network of what precincts there's still gaps in that you don't have anybody? So
Well, you can go to the Secretary of State's website and look at people that have filed.
Also on the Bear County website, we have the list of precinct chairs. I'll put the link in, and it has the ones that are full, and then at the bottom it has all the ones that are not full.
Well, to paraphrase Perry Mason, you're assuming competency is not in evidence.
There are very few people that have actually filed. It's only about 50 or 60 people that have actually filed so far.
Yeah. There was a kerfuffle because a lot of people had filed for precinct chair using an old form, and we didn't know a new one was coming. And so anyone who filed before September the 1st, I think it was, had filed on the wrong form. And I happened to file exactly on September 1st, so I'm good. No harm done. Everyone who has wanted to file and filed on the wrong form prior to September the 1st can file and has the opportunity again starting January 17th.
And we will specifically notify those people as it's getting closer to time.
Okay. John Owens, you have your hand up.
Yes, you answered the question, Bob. That was going to be my question and statement that I had received information that some of the precinct chair applications were filed on the wrong application. And I was one of those, and I just wanted to get some clarification.
Sure. Okay. January 17th. Okay. Let's see. I do want to take a moment to allow Judge Longoria to say a few words. He's been waiting patiently. Had been unable to get on. Judge Longoria, are you still there? Judge Longoria. And Lisa Uresti Dasher also came in a little early. She was driving and had trouble getting on the Zoom call. Lisa, are you still there? Oh, there's Judge Longoria. Unmute, Judge. Unmute. Can you unmute? You can't. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. But he put information about himself in the chat. So great man, Judge Longoria. Okay, let's move on to unfinished business. Meeting speakers or activities for March the 12th. In January and February, all you candidates, we will be having candidate forums, judicial candidates in January, non-judicial candidates in February. So we'll be getting out an invitation to you very shortly about that. So I do encourage you to participate. But for March, is there anything that anyone is particularly interested in hearing about or doing in March of next year for our meeting?
I'd like to hear from somebody about the results of March, maybe from Zach. the results of the primary.
Primary results.
I'd like to hear from this Strom in New Brunsville running against Chip Roy. Is he covering our district or not?
Well, Chip Roy is 21. I'm 21, and a great many of us in this meeting are in District 21. So yeah, I'd like to hear from him, but
I've tried to contact him and I've not had a response, but I just thought he's got an opponent too, and I'd love to see the two opponents have a chance to talk.
Perhaps we can get them to talk at the forum in February. Well, I'll work on that.
Okay, excellent.
Bob Comeaux?
Yes. First of all, at the February meeting, will we be endorsing candidates for the primary?
Yes, we will. As a matter of fact, I think, and I will add that to new business. In order to endorse, we need to have a vote of the membership for an endorsement session. So I'm going to call for a vote for endorsements in both the January and February forums. Yes.
Excellent.
Okay.
For the March election, March meeting, I would strongly suggest that we have a forum on school board candidates, because May will be an election for school board in Northeast, at least. And with one of the things later on in the ballot in the agenda today, it sure tells why we need to have strong candidates running, because there's a group called Moms for Liberty. That's a Koch brothers funded organization. They will be speaking Monday night at the school board meeting in Northeast in favor of banning books. And the Koch brothers up in New Hampshire have put a $500 bounty on any teacher that talks about divisive subjects. To turn in your teacher, get $500. They're trying. The organization that Betsy DeVos is supporting came out opposed to Frank Ramirez at House District 118. So the right wing is organizing and trying to take over these school boards, and we've got to be paying attention to them. So I hope that that we can have a forum to invite candidates. They'll have to file sometime in March, so we should have a pretty good idea of who is running at that particular point. That's my suggestion.
Bob, I put your resolution in the chat. Your NEBCD resolution in the chat, right there.
Okay, yeah, we will get that to that under new business. Okay. Okay, we will need a nominations committee for the February 12th annual general meeting and board elections. And would anyone like to volunteer to chair that effort?
I would.
Sandy?
Mhm.
Okay. Great, thank you. So we'll get together. You'll need a few other people to give you a hand on that.
I think I can rustle some people up.
Great. Okay, new business. Republican campaign to ban and remove books from school libraries, restrict teaching facts about our social history, and elect conservatives to school boards. Bob, you sent us a resolution on this matter.
Yes.
Which is in the chat, by the way.
Right. I don't know why it says elect conservatives to school board. How about the Republican campaign? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if people have had a chance to read the resolution or not. But I certainly expresses my sentiments.
What you might want to do is read the resolution. At least read, if you don't read the whole resolution, that the whereas resolve that.
Well, actually, I think part of the other is more important. And by the way, Melinda Schwab first alerted me to this with an email, and she's out of town. She's flying back in today, but she is also assisted in the drafting of this. So I want to give credit where credit's due. But it says, whereas the Northeast Bexar County Democrats is comprised of liberty-loving citizens who have defended our freedoms by serving in the military or foreign service, in classrooms, libraries, and pulpits, in corporate enterprises and small businesses, in courtrooms and union halls, and in other endeavors. And whereas as parents, we fully acknowledge our parental responsibility and duty to monitor and control the extracurricular reading material of our own sons and daughters. But as defenders of the United States Constitution and the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights, we patriots acknowledge that monitoring our family's reading material does not grant the right to determine the appropriate titles read by other American families who may be of a different race or ethnicity, different gender or sexual identity, different religion, or non-believers. And whereas a Texas politician in the last year of his decade in the Texas House, State Representative Matt Krause, is attempting to remove, thereby censoring, hundreds of book titles as Krause embarks on a campaign to run for Tarrant County District Attorney and needs a headline-grabbing campaign issue. And whereas democracies welcome the free exchange of ideas, and book burning and book banning are the trademarks of autocratic regimes. Now therefore be it resolved by the Northeast Bexar County Democrats that we support age-appropriate books and literature be available to our students free of censorship by those claiming to know what is best for us and who are attempting to impose their politics or their religion upon us in direct violation of the Bill of Rights. And be it further resolved that we support the teaching of our nation's and our state's true history, warts and all, instead of the whitewashed, sanitized version that reduces the contributions of women and people of color, those not considered the mainstream of our society, but whose contributions helped build our communities. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be provided to the Northeast ISD Superintendent and all NEISD trustees and all other superintendents in Bexar County, in hopes that leaders will stand up to those who would erode our fundamental First Amendment rights on the altar of right-wing political correctness. There was an op-ed in today's newspaper, and in the op-ed, it said that Matt Krause was a late candidate for Texas Attorney General. I don't know. I know I saw the website last night before I saw that op-ed today that said that he's running for Fort Worth a DA. So that's what I based mine on. I don't know exactly what the reality is. He may have changed his mind, but at any rate, he's running for something and trying to use this as his campaign vehicle to get there.
I move that we accept that as a resolution.
No. Discussion, because I have something to add here.
Well, yeah, we can, I make the motion and we get a second and we have discussion.
I second the motion.
Discussion?
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize we were gonna put it out there. All right. What the thing I was the most disappointed with Terry McAuliffe was that, yeah, he said, we have people who are doing, that's their job, but he didn't make it a point that, hey, listen, people put their whole lives together to make it a study of learning and it's people get PhDs in education. There's a whole circuit of people that are making these decisions about what is the right thing to put in the classrooms. And I just felt that's something that was also missing in this resolution, was that there are a line of people that are going to be totally disregarded. And by the way, where are these people that are standing up and with their pitchforks and their children's hand in their hand, where were they when, these kids were, needing discipline? It's just, to me, I think that's just an aside, but please add that there's a line of professionals that actually do this work. That's all I wanted to note.
Bob? Bob?
I'm here.
No, Bob Miller. Yeah, you want to carry?
Okay, Bob Comeaux, can you alter the, can we add an amendment to motion to amend to add that people, that there's a whole professional society that puts their, their life is dedicated to education?
Absolutely. Anything can be added by this organization to the resolution. If you would draft it real quick and offer it as a amendment, it probably will be a friendly amendment. And of course, part of the reason that I drafted this thing is they try to show up at these meetings saying that they are the ones who support liberty, that they're the freedom-loving people. And what I'm saying is, it is this organization who put it on the line in so many different disciplines. And it is this organization that is defending the Constitution and the rights. And they're the ones who are trying to take away parental rights by censoring what we as parents have the responsibility of doing. So if you have a sentence or two you want to add as another whereas, Sandra, why don't you draft it and present it?
Okay. Well, okay. Would like to
Maybe if you could
motion to amend to add whereas there is a whole category of professionals that dedicate their lives to education, and we should trust their knowledge and expertise in what should be included in curriculum and what should not be included in curriculum. There you go.
Okay. Do you accept that
That's
as
right.
a friendly amendment, Bob?
Yes, I don't have any problem if somebody smooths out the rough edges a little bit.
Okay. All right.
Yes, I agree.
We can
Okay,
do
can I
a
have
little
somebody to
editing
second
after the
that?
fact. Yeah. Okay. Well, it is it's a friendly amendment. So
I don't need a second.
it is therefore incorporated. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We are getting a little late, and I'm going to I'm going to ask you to vote. All those in favor of the resolution as amended, please go to reactions and click yes. Those opposed, click the red X. All those in favor? I see.
I can't seem to find
And
it.
and Al is raising his hand. What, James?
Hold on. We're in the midst of a vote. That's out of order. Okay, we have 18 votes in favor, which is the majority. The resolution is adopted. Okay, Al Kissling?
No, I was just voting yes.
Oh, okay, you just putting your hand up. Okay, all right, thank you. Let's move on.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
If I may, after the revised one is finished, could they send that out to everybody? And I suggest that each of us send it out to our email list so people know that we are taking a stand, and this handful of bullies that's trying to shove stuff down our throat do not represent us.
Okay. Yes. Sandy?
I'm working on. I'm working on
all I'm going to say is that when the final edit is done, could you
I'll send it to Bob, and then Bob can revise it however he pleases and smooth it out for me. Okay. And then
may I also suggest that once the amendment is put together, that it be sent to all the SDC members that we have here in Bear County?
Agreed.
Yeah, it was your revision, please, Sandy, please make your revision and send it to.
Yeah, please. Yeah, get it over to Bob so that he can incorporate it into the resolution. Then he's
Okay.
going to get it back to you because you're the primary responsibility for,
Oh, now I
publicity.
am. Oh, gosh,
Yes.
I stuck my foot
You
in
put
it.
your foot in your mouth, didn't you?
Not my mouth, but you know, I put.
Okay,
stuck my
let's
foot in it.
move on.
One more
We're gonna
person,
get-
like, I do want to acknowledge Audrey Fisher. She has some very important information to offer. So if we're in new business and, you know, when we get in there, we need to acknowledge her. Thank you.
Okay, great. We'll get to you, Audrey, in just a moment. Okay, endorsements. In order to our bylaws require that in order to do endorsements, that we vote to have endorsements one meeting before the endorsement, one or more meetings before the endorsements are done. I am inviting a motion to endorse candidates, judicial candidates, after the judicial candidates forum in January and after the non-judicial candidates forum in February. Does someone make that motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion, Bob Comeaux.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please mark yes, the green ball in reactions. If you're opposed, the red X. Okay, we have a majority in favor. The motion passes, and so we will have the endorsement sessions in January and in February. Okay, Audrey.
Yeah, thank you. My point is the applications for ballot by mail are available on a variety of websites, and myself and a number of other people are working for those directions. The state of Texas just happened to send me a link to all the forms and everything you ever wanted to know about all sorts of issues, but it also has the information on what the ballot mailers are going to look like and what we have to add. So a bunch of us are working on a list of the criteria to fill out your application, which cannot be mailed to Jackie until after January 1st. And two, a list of, I'm trying to get it on a two-sided form or hopefully one page that tells people who vote by mail the changes to how they mail in their application. So the other thing Jackie mentioned was that if your IDs don't match address-wise, the state of Texas has decided if, all of our IDs are weird. So if your Texas driver's license number does not match your voter ID or residence, then then she will have to send you a statement of residence. And people who are voting by mail will have to complete that statement of residence and include that with their ballot in when they send it back in, or their ballot will be voided. So there's a bunch of things going on with applications for ballot by mail, and we will try. I'm working with Sandy to try and get it posted for you guys.
Yeah. Well, the dastardly Republicans have made it as complicated as possible to vote by mail, and and put trip lines in there so that you can be tripped up.
Yes.
So be careful. Make sure that everything matches up.
Yeah, the other thing too is the print font is probably about a 8 point, and it's going to be extremely difficult for some seniors to be able to read that new form.
Yeah, Milton.
Yeah, I just had a question. I read the other day, I don't know if this is new or not, because I don't vote by mail, that has it always been where the voter had to pay the postage? And also I noticed they're going to put something new in the ballot that if it's going to be over announced, they're going to inform the voter how much they're going to have to pay extra so it won't be returned. So I didn't know if that's something new where the voters have to pay the postage, but that's also something new that's in there.
The voters have always had to pay the postage, and
Yeah.
I
Here in
don't know.
Texas, yes, yeah.
I just
Yeah.
noticed they put a new deal in there that they're going to notify them if the weight goes over, that they're required to tell them how much they have to pay.
The only
I
place
doubt
we
if
know
Bear
about that
County
is
would
Leon
do that.
Valley. Yeah, Leon Valley, when they had a ballot a couple of years ago that went on for pages and pages and pages,
Yeah.
would be the only ones affected.
Right,
It takes
okay.
one person to take that ballot and take it to the post office and say, please weigh this. And they said, it's under an ounce, you're good. And we can post that wherever, because that's where I will be on January 1st or 2nd, because Bear elections won't receive until the 4th.
And guys,
Yeah,
I wanted to let you know that I posted in the chat the index that has all of the forms. I couldn't go back to where she is because there's one in Spanish, one in English, and under chapter 5. Hey, Audrey, I wanted to ask you a question about, I got my driver's license renewal notice and they sent me an application for voter registration. I'm afraid to fill it out because I'm a registered voter. Do I need to re-register or something?
No.
Is that why they put this in
No.
here, to waste their money?
No.
Well, it's one more way for them to trip you up because of that requirement now on the application for ballot by mail, where you have to put in your driver's license or some other Texas ID number or the social security number. And that is new on that ballot. And it will be something that if we do not push that, will be overlooked because people are just not accustomed to having to put that information there or on the carrier envelope before you seal it with your ballot inside, that there's a place that you have to put that information as well. It's a real pain in the ass, but they sent it to me by accident. And of course I read it all.
Yeah, and one other thing too, I talked with Gracie, she's the head of our Democratic head of the ballot board. And one of the things that Jackie is begging us to let the people know, that at least put their phone number on the application, because if there's a problem, they can call them quickly, as opposed to having to write a letter and mailing it to them when it may be too late. So please have everybody put their phone number on their vote by mail application.
I recommend everybody get it mailed by January 15th, but I'm just kind of weird that way. I assume the sooner I can get them in, the faster, if I've made a mistake, that the Bear elections will actually do that. And yes, I am highlighting phone numbers for everybody and including it in my set of directions.
Yeah, you know, one thing I have to say is we have an administrator who bends over backwards to do the right thing. If she says that we're going to call these people, they are going to call them, and they're going to call them quickly. I have no doubt about that.
What do you mean by he? Who's that?
Okay.
If there's a problem with their application,
Yes.
call them to rectify that problem. To
Let's recognize Bob Comeaux.
Maybe they've twisted the number of their license and it doesn't match their license. They can call them to get them to pull out their license and read the number, you know, and they can correct that number on the ballot.
That's at Bear County
application.
elections. Can we recognize
and-
Bob Comeaux now?
Yeah, Bob Comeaux, right.
Are these hard copies available yet at Bear County?
No.
Well, you can
Yes,
download
no.
it, Bob.
Yeah, no, the hard copies are not available. I wrote to the Secretary of State and I got a thing that they don't have them yet, but you can download it and print it on regular paper.
Thank you.
And I
Okay.
like I said, I put it in the form list in the chat. You can click on that and sort of, it's also English.
If you don't have it, go to Secretary of State Elections Forms and you can scroll down to find the
That is
vote by
what's
mail
in the-
forms.
Okay.
That's what's in the chat.
Very
Madeline.
good. Thank you. All right. So we are at the end of our agenda, and we're only 10 minutes over. I listed a bunch of announcements on the agenda, including that on Saturday, December the 25th, 2021, we have a thing known as Christmas, and to which I want to add Merry Christmas. And on Saturday, January the 1st, we have a thing known as the New Year Day, And I want to wish everyone a happy, prosperous, and victorious 2022, particularly for Democrats.
Yeah.
Is there any other business to come before this august body?
I just want to announce that the ballot order drawing is going to be on Wednesday, the 15th, and it's going to be at the West End Baptist Church, 925 Culebra.
Yeah, and that is on the agenda. I managed to squeeze it in there, Madeline,
Okay.
if you let me know. So a lot of this information is available on the agenda. Just download it from the email I sent you. Bob Comeaux?
Yes, I think we ought to also send a congratulations to Zach Like, who's now the chief of staff.
Yeah.
Oh, it happened. He was wondering if maybe that would happen.
Yeah,
That's my
it
understanding.
happened.
That's my understanding.
No, it is happened. It has happened.
Okay, great. I will personally send him congratulations on that. Okay. Anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please mark the green tab there in your
Some people have
reaction.
already did it.
Some people have bailed. Okay, thank you so very much for coming out with us this morning and now afternoon. And we will see you next time, which for the Judicial Candidates Forum in January. Hang in. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.